Hello, good morning. This is the 59th daily update today. Yesterday was a good day. I did the work that I was supposed to do. My sleep was a little disorganized for yesterday, but I got through the day, did everything I was supposed to do, did my work in the hour and 45 minutes, and did the 3 mile run. This morning also I did my 3 hour run already, and I just have, I guess, my work and the remainder of my morning routine, my work and the evening routine left. Um, I actually wanted, though, to spend a little bit of time talking about uh, uh, kind of my plans going forward, uh, especially for the next 6 weeks. So I think I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I've identified sort of 3 areas that I would want to um, make improvements towards, or that I think are um, areas that are that most need improvement. So the first is definitely work, and this is the number one thing that I need to tackle first, because that's kind of like necessary to be able to to work in a way that's consistent, um, and that I think will eliminate a lot of the stress in my life, which comes from procrastinating, putting things off till the deadline, feeling like I'm underachieving, and like different things, and the huge barriers are put on me because I'm not able to get myself to do work. So I think the first and most important area that I'd want to improve is my working. And here, the strategy that I've adopted this is, as you guys know, I'm doing essentially a set number of time, a set time of work every single day, 6 days a week, with the exception of Sunday. And then each week I increase that amount by 15 minutes. So right now I'm at an hour and 45 minutes of what I call deep work. Um, every day. And next week that will be 2 hours and 2 hours, 15 minutes. And I think that system has been working really well for me. So that's sort of like, at least for the next 6 weeks, I think the objective there is just going to be to sustain that going forward. Now the next area, so I would say also in that domain, I am still below average, in just in terms of like the general population, and where I feel like I would need to be to have like a good life. Um, I think a rough marker that I've been using in my own head is, I think if I were able to do 3 hours uh, of like daily work, deep work, every day, 6 days a week, I think that would make me roughly average. I think that's about how long um, that your kind of average person out there will do in terms of deep work, um, and to hold down like a decently well-paying job. So I know, like, of course, the actual hours are like 8 hours for work or so, but generally, if you actually look into that, a lot of that is kind of like just kind of maybe slacking off, or um, um, so I think the amount of like distilled, if you distill it into the amount of actual deep work, I think it would be roughly 3 hours for the average. So um, yeah, so for the next 6 weeks, the idea is to continue on with the increasing 15 minutes every day, and by the end of that 6 week period, I should have cleared the 3 hour mark. So that would be good, because it's taking this domain where it's a very significant domain that has caused me a lot of problems in the past. And through some controlled, gradual process, I bring that up to close the gap with sort of the average person out there. The other domain is the domain of, I would say, like physical um, well-being, physical strength. Um, and in that, I would say I'm actually currently above average. So I've been running, and I'm increasing the amount of running that I'm doing, but I would want to build on that lead, because the way I see it is your sort of the physical strength which also includes like making sure that you're sleeping enough, making sure that you're eating enough, and exercising. I would include all of that under your physical um, well-being and physical strength. I think that is the sort of platform upon which you will kind of build everything else. So I think it's really, really important to get that right. And I think it just has um, like particularly advances in this domain tend to ripple out into everything else that you do and influence everything else you do, and positively um, and positively affect everything else. So um, you can never, I think, go wrong when you invest in that. So that includes, as I mentioned, three things. So it includes sleeping enough, eating enough, and working out. Uh, so for sleep, I think the main thing is to make sure that I'm waking up at a similar time every day. I think right now my sleeping schedule, I tend to sleep around the same time, but my wake up time is actually pretty variable. And for some reason, I keep waking up at 3 in the morning or like 3:30 in the morning, and then I would stay up for an hour or two and then fall back asleep. So that's not really very efficient. And I would want to find a way to be, sleeping more consistently and waking up more consistently. So that's the first thing. Eating, I think I'm eating my food plan is pretty good. Um, but I think I need to increase the amount of eating I'm doing to keep up with the exercise, with the increasing amount of exercise, and also potentially to gain some mass as well. Which leads me to the third point. But also at the same time, I need to make sure that, especially that as I'm doing that, I'm doing it in a healthier way, so that I'm not, cholesterol and saturated fat isn't like through the roof. Um, and finally, we have the uh, exercise. So exercise, I want it to be in three parts. I want to focus on running, weightlifting, and stretching. And I want my exercise routine every day to include just at least a little bit of each one of these three things. So running, I think for now is definitely the dominant thing that I'm doing. Um, I really want to break. I want to build up to a marathon, and and so and so for that, um, I think that that's definitely the main meat of my exercise right now. But I also want to start introducing some weightlifting as well, and so I still have to figure out exactly how I'm going to do that in one package. But the idea is that it would be like one exercise regimen that would need to include all three of those things and would be done in like one block of time in the mornings every day. So that's in terms of the physical exercise. That's the second domain that I want to improve. But you see, for that, I think I have a plan for improving my running. So I'm doing increasing half a mile to my daily runs every week. So right now I'm at 3 miles. Next week it's going to be 3.5, and 4, and so forth. Up to, I think I'll take it up to 6 miles a day. And then on Saturdays will be my long run, which might be even longer. Um, so that's the second domain. And then the third domain um, is, I guess, like social skills, one can call it, but understood in a more broad way. Um, so it includes everything from um, like romantic relationships to just being able to handle yourself in normal social situations, to being able to have like stable long-term friendships or being a part of some social community. I think and also includes things like telling the truth. So it's a really big and less well-defined domain as opposed to the other two, I think, which is why it's sort of hard to tackle. But I do think that in this domain, I'm definitely on the well below average, which is actually well, it's not as bad because I don't think that domain is as pressingly important as the other two. Um, luckily, I'm more of an introvert, and so um, I'm okay like limiting my social interactions for a few weeks or months even while I set the other stuff in my life in order, and I don't think it will negatively affect me as much to neglect this as it would to neglect the other two things. Um, but nevertheless, the positive thing about it though is that because I'm like well below average, I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think that if with some deliberate uh, uh, exercise and practice, I might actually be able to make very rapid advances in this domain, and that it can potentially very positively affect and influence my life. Oh, I should mention that in the quote unquote social skills domain, there's also assertiveness and being able to stand up for yourself and represent yourself and negotiate with other people. So it's a pretty huge category. Um, and I don't really at the moment have a very good idea for how to tackle this or improve this. And but this is something that I'm thinking about. In the meantime, I have already um, some habits in place to address some elements of this um, issue that I have, but I still need a more fleshed out um, system for dealing with that domain. So that's where things stand right now. I just wanted to mention that so you guys can know and see where my head is at. Um, but yeah, so that's it. Um, and yeah, so I'll just stop there and let me. I'm just thinking if there's anything else I want to mention. I don't think so. I think that's it for today. Tomorrow I might discuss if I think about anything I want to talk about. We could just talk about it tomorrow. So thank you so much for listening. We are now, in terms of habits, I think today is like the 62nd day or 63rd day. So we're doing very, very well. Thank you for being with me on this pretty great ride actually so far. Like we've made tremendous progress, and um, yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing on along this path, and 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 hoping that you guys can remain on the path with me. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.